Well, here I am filling the sink, which can only mean one thing. It's time to do a waterproof test on a phone. So here it is, the Motorola Moto E. This is not a waterproof phone, this is just a water resistant. It has a nano coating and the Gorilla Glass, which we've tested before with the keys, and it survived quite well with that, as you can see. Only finger marks on there from me being clumsy with it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start playing a YouTube video on this phone, and we're going to stick it in the sink, and that's going to be that really. So let's see what happens. I'm going to get a YouTube video going, drop it in the sink, and see if it can survive 30 seconds without dying. People seem to be very interested in these tests because they're budget phones, and you know, it's nice to have a phone of this price, of this quality, that can withstand getting a bit wet. Goodbye £89 if this doesn't work, but we'll be very lucky if it does. So, don't try this at home, this could ruin your phone completely. Let's see how it fares under the water. Well, there it is, it's under the water and the video is still playing, as you can see on the screen. But the screen is still displaying quite clearly, and this has been under the water now for a good 20 seconds, 30 seconds, so you could have an accident with this phone and possibly get away with it. We'll take it out and you can see how the water just rolls off the screen. It does kind of mess up the touchscreen functionality though, getting it wet. Shake some of that out. There it all is, still working quite happily after having been immersed in the water for 20 seconds. Amazing little phones these. I did this with an iPhone and it was dead and unrecoverable. So, you know, £500 for an iPhone, or £80 for a Moto E, or £100 for a Moto G, and you get a phone that survives with the Motorola. So here we are, the phone's been underwater. As you can see, it's working still, the YouTube video. Now the speaker, a lot of people have asked about the quality of the speaker after it's been underwater, and I'm just going to turn the volume up so you can hear it.
And we will have a look at it afterwards, have a close inspection of the screen.
So that seems to be fine, but what I have noticed is that the screen is actually very dark now, and also you should be able to see that it seems to have picked up some horrendous moire patterns. It's not showing a very crisp image anymore. Now those might be something to do with the fact that we're shooting in 4K, but if you look at the screen, it's very, very rough. It's not as smooth as it should be, and there's a dark patch appeared in the corner here. So the screen appears to have suffered a little bit, but it should recover if it's dried out carefully. There are some funny lines appearing on the screen as well. But it does still seem to be fully working. Oh, hang on. Yep, it does still seem to be fully working. I don't know if you can see here, there's a funny area on the screen that's a bit stained there. So what I'm going to do is try and dry the phone out completely before I do anything else with it, and we'll see if it survives okay. But the electronics seem okay inside. It still seems to be working perfectly well. So the touchscreen is now operational, although it wasn't when it was underwater. But let's get it all dried out and see if the screen is recoverable. Okay, so as you can see, quite a bit of water did get into the back of the phone. There's the inside of the cover with quite a bit of water in it. It does seem to have this extremely water repellent coating on it though, and likewise the actual phone unit itself seems not to have actually taken much water in. So I'm just going to tap as much of this out as possible. In fact, you can see the very large battery that gives this phone its all-day battery life. Now you can see some of the screen problems we're having with these green lines and funny colours appearing on the screen there. So I'm just going to turn it off now and give it a chance to see. That's the touchscreen sensitivity. It thinks it's being used, and it's not. Let's get it dried out before we do anything else. Very important now to dry the phone out before anything goes seriously wrong with it. So it's a bright sunny day, and the warmest place I've got is the garden room, so the phone is going to go in here, very dry, very warm, and hopefully the sun will help us to get this all dried out. So the phone's off, it's sitting in the sun, and hopefully we'll be back to you in a day or two with a fully working device. Its touchscreen is working, it's working okay, but as you can see here, I hope you can see that's all right, there's some staining on the screen where the water's got in, and it hasn't come out yet. I've had it drying in the sun for a while. It's quite hot, but no joy yet at getting this mess, this pattern that's appeared underneath the screen in the backlight out. So I'm going to keep heating it up, and I'll come back to you when I've done some more. Now something's just finished cooking in the microwave. I wonder what it could be. Let's have a look. Ah, here it is. It's a phone. Oh God, that's hot. Well, it's the only way you're going to get the water out of the screen, I'm afraid. The airing cupboard hasn't worked, so I'm cooking the phone, and that is really very, very hot. So I'm going to let it cool down for a bit. See if the screen starts to work again, and if it... Oh God, I can't hold that, it's too hot. And if it does, great, and if it doesn't, we'll give it another cook. So, how is the little Moto E doing that I dropped in the water a couple of days ago? Well, let's just turn it on. Okay, you can see that there are these lines along the screen. It's not done too well, but it is working, which is more than we can say for the iPhone, which died instantly. Yes, they're darker, but it is slowly getting better. The touch sensitivity is working okay now in most areas of the screen, not all of them, as you can see. So the menu button's okay, or the apps button. The home button isn't working really, but can't persuade that to work, but the back button does. They're all capacitive buttons, so the problem's with the capacitive touch screen, which has obviously still got water underneath it. So I'll keep you updated if this gets any better, which it should do. It is slowly drying out. I'm leaving it in the bright sunshine we're having here at the moment in the UK, and it is gradually getting better. It survived the keys, but it did not survive being put under the water as well as the Moto G, which was its predecessor. So either this phone's not as well made, or we just didn't get lucky with this one. But as you can see, the screen's a bit messed up. It does still work in the main, but for example, when you unlock it, you have to go to the left. It won't unlock to the right. It's picking up the touch there, but it's not picking up the touch across here. But if you go that way, it's fine. The phone itself seems to be working quite well. It's just the screen that's not very happy. But interestingly, battery life, absolutely fantastic. I've had this on for 3 days now. I don't know if you can see that, but these are supposed to have an all-day battery. And while I haven't used it very much, it's been on standby for 3 days and it's still got a quarter of its battery left. I have used it a bit. I've used it to check the odd emails with and do a bit of web browsing. You know, obviously it's not quite as large a screen as I'm used to, but it's lasted for very, very reasonable 3 days, almost 3 days on that, and that would indicate that it does probably have an all-day battery life in everyday use. Obviously this is not a phone for heavy gaming with a dual-core processor, but it's perfectly capable and it doesn't seem to have any lag. It responds quite well. The graphics are reasonably, smooth, no lag on them. Unfortunately that side of the screen isn't working very well, but the actual graphics display is quite decent on this. Quite a well put together phone, but obviously the water resistance is not as extensive as it was on the Moto G, and certainly no way would it be described as a waterproof phone. Now I'm going to carry on trying to dry this phone out, but I'm going to sign off this video at this point because the Moto G was quite easy to recover to a usable state, and this phone has proved a lot harder. So if I do get it any further than this, I will let you know. There it is, the Moto E, not as water resistant as the Moto G, but still a lot better than many other phones on the market because it is still working, and the iPhone I immersed for a few seconds died instantly. Thanks for watching.